President Trump continues to attack the media. The president threatening the licenses of U.S. broadcast networks if they're too critical of him. This comes after Walt Disney put Jimmy Kimmel's show on indefinite hiatus over the monologue he delivered. Joining us now with more is Bloomberg Wall Street Week host David Westin. You also are a lawyer, have a history working with Supreme Court Justice, and of course you ran ABC News. So what do you think about this?
The main thought I had when I heard it was I'm glad I don't run ABC television network anymore because those are hard decisions, and I wasn't in the room, so I don't know what actually happened. Everybody's speculating what happened, but nobody knows except the people who were in the room. But it's a very difficult situation when the government comes after you.
Does the fact that the government is coming after them make it a First Amendment issue? Because, sure, of course, if you are a private company, you can maybe have some say over what the television shows are on. But the fact that the government is involved in this, does that change the calculation?
Yeah, I used to say this when I was running ABC News. Jimmy Kimmel does not have a First Amendment right over against Bob Iger because it's not the government. But Bob Iger does over against the government because that's the First Amendment limits the government, not individuals. So there's a substantial show. But more than that, Danny, besides the First Amendment, there's a specific provision in the Federal Communications Act that says the FCC cannot censor. It says we have to protect freedom of speech and freedom of print. And so it's in the law. You can't do that.
We've been talking a lot about the FCC, obviously, lately. So have members of Congress. We showed earlier Brendan Carr's tweet from 2022 where he said how important it is that we allow freedom of speech in political satire and that no individual should push against that. And Stephen Colbert had something to say about the FCC yesterday as well. Let's listen to what he said.
My name is Jon Stewart, and welcome to The Daily Show on, I'm going to guess, Monday. I don't know. We have another fun, hilarious, administration-compliant show.
Okay, that was my mistake, and obviously not Stephen Colbert. His show has also been canceled, and he was on yesterday talking about the FCC. Every one of the late-night comedians kind of came out in support of the First Amendment, in support of Jimmy Kimmel, and with concern that the administration is threatening licenses to get the kind of coverage that it wants. Has this kind of thing ever happened before?
Most certainly has, under Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon had a particular campaign to go after the licenses of broadcasting. That was about Vietnam, actually. He thought all the networks were ganging up on him about Vietnam. And he talked to Haldeman, his chief of staff, in the Oval Office, and he was taped as saying, we want to go after these licenses. And they tried to, didn't go anywhere. So it's been tried before. It's not the first time this sort of thing has happened.
I have to say, speaking of Colbert, it is interesting to see how Paramount has treated Colbert versus South Park, for example. South Park comes out with a stinging critique pushing back against the settlement, and Colbert does the same thing. One is canceled and one is not. How much of this just speaks to what show makes more money, which they care more about?
I think that's a very important point, Danny. One of the big changes has been in the overall importance of the entire broadcast network is not as important as it used to be back in the day. And certainly the late night, in part because of social media, it's not as profitable. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I'll guarantee you they were not making a ton of money off of Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, actually, Lucas Shaw put out a story yesterday. He, of course, covers media for us and pointed out that Colbert and Kimmel, both shows lose money. Yeah. And I'm talking about like millions of dollars every year. But they do have some value, I would imagine, to the networks.
Well, yeah, some value, but as much as they're paying for it. But the problem is, and you know this, why wait up to 11:30 at night to get some jokes? You can get it on social media all the time, including from Jimmy Kimmel and from Jimmy Fallon and from Stephen Colbert. You can get it on YouTube and everything else all the time. So why do you have to wait until 11:30?
And whatever other influencers are saying funny things on the internet, too. It's not just that's happening in the industry, too, David. There seems to be a lot of consolidation. You had the Skydance Paramount deal that are now reportedly looking at Warner Brothers Discoveries, too. That ABC affiliate that wasn't going to air Kimmel, Nexstar, was also planning to acquire a rival. How much of this self-censoring is also about cases that they plan to take in front of the FCC and various regulatory support that they need to do this consolidation?
Well, it's not coincidental that, for example, in Paramount, they had the deal pending when they made the settlement. And I'm sure it's not coincidental with Nexstar that was pending as well. So the government, President Trump has some leverage if he seeks to use it. I'm not sure you can do it legally, but you can chill a lot of deals that never make it to the courts. They never actually get litigated out. And the main point about consolidation, I think, Danny, is there's just, the game is not worth as much as it used to be. And when the business is a lot challenged and your margins are down and your top line is down, then the tendency is to consolidate. Whether or not that makes it a good business, I'm not sure that taking two bad businesses and putting them together makes a good business, but often people think it does.